All right, now we can officially begin as we're now synced in on Facebook and on YouTube. What's going on, guys? It's the RCWR Show with your host right here, Lee Sanders, covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. We are just a couple of minutes removed from the 2018 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony that went off the air. And I tell you, 4 hours, 30 plus minutes is just a wee tad bit too long. If you would have told me, hey, Lee, you're going to be watching an event on the WWE network, right? It's going to be the Hall of Fame ceremony. I go, oh, okay, no problem. Yeah, but here's the thing. The damn thing ain't going to go off until damn near close to 1 o'clock in the morning. I would say, damn, was there some type of a tape delay? Was there some type of technical difficulties? What exactly happened? Was there some type of a bomb threat? Was there some type of a weird fan pandemonium scare? What exactly was going on? No, nothing at all, Lee. Honestly, it just went that damn long. The speeches, you name it, everything. It just went so goddamn long. Yeah, nothing happened. It's just that's just what you got. I would say, wow, something needs to change because is it just me, guys? Or does it feel like more and more and more as the years have been progressing with these Hall of Fame ceremonies in recent years? It seems like the time gets longer and longer and longer. And I'm almost kind of getting to that point where I feel as though, okay, we are going to see a 8-hour WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. It just feels like that's the point that it's getting to. I'm almost ready to say to the WWE, hey, WWE, do us fans a huge favor and even do those that's in attendance at that arena seeing this Hall of Fame ceremony a huge favor, which is if you're going to be going past 3 hours, you need to pay us. You know, me personally, I will take $7 an hour if we're going to be operating like this. I have no problem being paid $7 an hour if you're going to be going past 3 hours because I mean, that is just really testing a viewer's patience. And it's so funny too, because a buddy of mine, and shout out to him, it's my buddy Jose, my coworker. We were literally talking about this at work earlier today. Well, I mean, at this point, depending on where you reside, it's now officially Saturday morning, right? But we were talking literally the other day, and we were talking about video watch time. And in particular, we were talking about how it is on social media when it comes to streaming events. And me and him were talking about how, well, look, you know, guys in our generation, when we were coming up, as far as television, entertainment, and all that goes, we're with it, man. We're with it from the beginning to the middle, right down to the end, right? But see, the younger generation that's coming up, you've got this generation where they want to get what they need to get, roll out, keep it moving along. And so the attention span is basically 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. But if you're doing it in a way where hook, line, sinker, hey, you got to come on back because you got to see what happens in the next video. Most people are used to being spoon fed. Okay, the dot. Okay, great. Next. And I tell you, with WWE and this current format that they have been running on with these Hall of Fame ceremonies, it's just not working. It's just not. They got to switch it up. So I mean, up front, the advice that I would give to the WWE before, I'm not gonna, this isn't gonna be one of those hour-long Hall of. No, my goal is to talk about the Hall of Fame in general. Go over the guys. Boom, 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 boom. The goal is to be off the air, have this wrapped up 30 minutes or less. Because for those of you, and you guys, you have come to expect this from us from the RCWR show these past several years. We do all the dirty work so that you don't have to, and you can honestly figure out what you want to go out of your way to check out. So I do appreciate those of you that have been looking forward to this yearly tradition that we do here for you guys. But my advice to WWE up front, stop making these Hall of Fame ceremony events so long. You have to put some type of time restraint on these bad boys. First of all, You're doing it on, I get it. It's WrestleMania weekend and you're trying to capitalize on the wrestling fans because after all, you got a lot of things that's going on. I mean, as we speak, you still got a Twitch event that's happening right now between Lucha Underground and Impact Wrestling. All right. This is the weekend. If you are a wrestling promoter and you got your thing going with your talent and your respective promotion, this is a great weekend to try to usher in new wrestling fans from all around the world, especially on those that aren't able to check out WrestleMania for whatever respected reasons. Maybe because honestly, they just don't have the money or they just not feeling the product, whatever. This is that time to go, well, hey, let me present this to you instead. So, I mean, you're competing with all of that. You're also competing with the fact that it's Friday night. Some people got plans as far as the weekend go. I could just imagine some people kind of going, especially if they haven't really gotten these Hall of Fame ceremonies down. I could just picture a lot of people going, oh yeah, so I'm gonna go on ahead. I'm gonna watch the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm only gonna do that for like a couple of hours. It's probably gonna be at most about maybe 2.5, maybe almost 3 hours, and then I'll be able to go hit the club. Oh shoot, by the time you get done watching the Hall of Fame ceremony, it depending on where you are, it's already been like last call or whatever like that. There's really no point in you going out because you're just gonna have to turn right back around. So you're wasting your gas for nothing. So I mean, going forward, it would just be really badass if WWE could really start putting some type of time restraints on these bad boys. And quite honestly, if you're gonna do any more, I think you're gonna have to start doing like some type of exclusive stuff. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around how they can make the most because you got to look at it from this standpoint. Even though WWE does not pump out as many DVDs as they used to, their WrestleMania DVDs, when they put them out, it's become a yearly tradition. The WWE Hall of Fame ceremony is enclosed in that WrestleMania DVD set, and folks want to experience the Hall of Fame ceremony in its entirety. But I mean, WWE, the powers that be, Vince McMahon, the Triple H, the production team, they need to decide, okay, are we going to continue to go in this direction where we just let these talents that's being inducted talk on and on and on and on and on? Or are we going to say to them, okay, look, this is it. You have to honor this block of time. You have to, we're gonna otherwise get somebody like the Apollo. We're gonna get basically like the Sandman, and they're gonna come yank your ass off the stage. I mean, it would be really badass if maybe it was a situation where they just gave some bullet points or whatever, and maybe they could do something backstage with a Renee Young or with a Charlie Caruso, and maybe that little type of exclusive stuff could be forwarded to the DVD set. Or maybe even a better idea, maybe you could do some type of a situation where, honestly, I think the future of the way maybe WWE needs to approach this is those that are going to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, maybe they should try to do some type of a shoot style DVD format where those that are being inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, maybe you could have Jim Ross and or Michael Cole be behind the camera asking the questions or whatever. Not too many questions, but just basically helping guide them along to getting their thoughts out as far as being inducted into the Hall of Fame, how much it means to them, et cetera, et cetera. And that can be that talent in their most purest, raw thoughts for however long that it's going to go. And then when it comes time to do the actual WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, where they're doing the proper, I guess the proper, what's the right words I'm looking for? When they're doing the proper, hey fans, thanks for coming out to see me, really means a lot, blah, 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 blah. Again, by this point, between what they shot with the WWE and the shoot style format to getting ready to go to the podium and have a few words, you can still kind of make a few bullet points, kind of reiterate what was said in that shoot style type of sit down interview. But now you've had time, You know, you've had time between that to now being in front of the crowd. Trim the fat, so to speak. Be out there, make your bullet points, and then roll out. I think that's really the best way you can do that. I really, really do. But they've got to switch up on the format. I mean, that's just a rough draft idea. I'm not sure how many of you guys would rather WWE just go in an entirely different direction. But what do you think about that idea? And what's your idea as far as ways WWE really needs to try to trim this? Is it maybe a situation where honestly they don't need to have as many people as they induct? Maybe they need to trim it down even less. Is it a case where maybe they just go with the Warrior Award and they go with maybe 3 inductees? Because you think about how many were inducted this year. It's a lot of freaking speeches. On that note, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it, man. Again, took a couple of notes. I'm paying attention to how long we've been on the air. Like I said, I want to make this be about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less than that. And we'll see how we do. Okay, so appreciate you guys that's checking this out right now. All right, so if you want to get involved in the latest interactive poll, we got 2 polls. We got one up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, asking you guys straight up, how would you rate tonight's WWE Hall of Fame ceremony? If you got Twitter, jump on in there. We've got over 118 votes coming in right now, 4 days left and counting. So far, we have 15% that are staying in the middle. We have 24% that are giving it a thumbs down. They're saying that it was way too long. We have 26% of folks that are giving it a thumbs up. And so far, we have just taken the lead by a short margin. 35% of folks basically are saying Goldberg, the Dudley Boys, Mark Henry. That's all they wanted to see. They did not care for everything else. We got the other poll up on YouTube right now, asking you guys the same question, but we tried to filter the options better for you guys. Right now, your options are thumbs up, loved it from beginning to the end, thumbs down. Some speeches went way too long, 4+ hours, way too long. Your other option, only watch for Goldberg, Dudley's, Mark Henry, and other. If you go in the other section, you need to please explain that other by commenting below. But that's basically how we're doing it. Let's go right for it, man. All right, so looking at my notes here, where do we want to begin? We're going to take it in the order that we had received it, and we're pretty much going to go from there. All right, so we had Edge and Christian do the proper setup for the Dudley Boys, and they had addressed one of the most intriguing questions that honestly there was nothing wrong with having that question. It was a legit question, and not in a sarcastic or in a demeaning type of way, but you have folks that legitimately were going, why is Edge and Christian inducting the Dudley Boys in the WWE Hall of Fame? Me personally, I never had an issue with it. I did think to myself, well, why isn't it Paul Heyman? But I totally was fine with Edge and Christian, because the first thing that jumped out into my mind was, hey, the classic matches that they had. Hey, the TLC. Okay, that kind of makes a little bit of sense. All right. I'm thinking back to that time and I'm going, yeah, Dudley's. Yeah. Okay, that era kind of makes a little bit of sense. And I like the fact that Edge and Christian had addressed that, but I know it may have ruffled some fans the wrong way, because they kind of did a little bit of a backhanded diss on some fans that questioned them being the inductees for setting it up basically for the Dudleys. And there was one line that they had said, which basically went along the lines of, hey, you guys on your keyboard wondering, it's quite simple. We'll get right into it. But, don't worry. You guys will be able to go back upstairs and enjoy your mom's mac and cheese. And that actually got them a couple of heckles and boos from the crowd. But they pretty much explained the whole, hey, what Edge and Christian were doing in the WWE, laying down the foundation in the tag division during a really good hot time for the WWE, which was the Attitude Era. You had Devon and you had Bubba Ray. They were doing their thing in ECW, laying down the foundation. And as far as Edge and Christian were concerned, they knew eventually that Devon, Bubba, they were going to come to the WWE. It was just a matter of when they were going to be coming into the WWE. And they knew that, hey, if they could pass one of their first early tests, which was taking on the APA, Ron Simmons, John Bradshaw Layfield, they can make it past those guys, because those guys pretty much gave the seal of approval. If they liked you, your career, you're going to last a good minute unless otherwise. But if they didn't like you, you definitely was only going to be there for a quick cup of coffee. And once APA gave that seal of approval, everything else just had eventually followed. And everybody knows about the infamous TLC match that had went down. But you pretty much had Edge and Christian say, look, if it really was not for Devon and Bubba Ray, the Hardys, Edge and Christian, wouldn't go on to achieve the success that they would achieve in the later years. Everything just ties back to them being in the position where they were able to work with Bubba and Devon. So I thought once they had set it up that way, you couldn't help but walk away and go, yeah, for me, I already saw it. I would have loved it if it would have been Paul Heyman, but I totally understood from a distance after I really stopped and thought about it, why they were going in. It made a lot of sense. As far as Devon, Bully Ray, great back and forth that they had going on. It was nice to finally get to hear Devon speak a little bit longer than in previous years. Because remember, this isn't the first rodeo that we've seen the Dudleys. There were previous times where we saw them on stage, and really it was Bully Ray that was doing all of the talking, if you guys recall. So Devon, by the way, for those of you that watched it, did Bubba Ray look a little bit unsettled? Did he look a little bit kind of rattled? He seemed, maybe it was the nerves. He just came off like really, really nervous. But I thought he handled himself pretty well. But I loved both of their speeches. It was a great opener. I loved how Bully Ray had talked about, and this was a theme all throughout the night, a lot of Hulk Hogan references. Definitely some love shown to the Hulkster. There was also love shown to Mae Young, which I just thought was so interesting considering all the controversies that has come about with those two. But all night long, these were two names that, especially on the Hogan side, that we would keep hearing about again and again and again, as far as giving thanks and early memories, as far as what got some of these men and women involved in the business to begin with. And it was really nice hearing Bully Ray talk about how he had went with his dad and his uncle to WrestleMania 3. It was closed circuit or whatnot. And, he talked about how he walked away from that saying to his uncle and dad, hey, that's something I want to do. I want to be a wrestler. And as far as Bully Ray was concerned, Bully Ray, seeing him and Devon going into the WWE Hall of Fame, basically validation when it's all said and done. And they also pointed out something that I thought was really, really cool. And I really had to stop and think about it, which is they are the first popular ECW act to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. They are the first ECW, what was successful from the ECW, if you stop and think about it, they are the first ECW guys to go into a WWE Hall of Fame. So you kind of hear that and you go, damn, marinate on that for a little bit. So it's like, damn, so no. But then, you can kind of get a little bit technical if you really want to poke some holes in that. I'll leave that up to you. I got it. It's already in my mind, but I'm going to leave that to you guys, because some of you guys hear that. Wait a minute. Bully Ray said that, Lee? That's what Bully Ray said. And I'm just picturing you guys. Wait a minute. I can poke a couple of holes through that. Have at it, and we'll reconvene on Tuesday, because I'm curious how many of you, without cheating, without going online, I'm curious how many of you guys can successfully poke some holes through that claim. But great speech that they gave. They took the time out to thank Spike Dudley. They put Spike Dudley over big time. They basically had appreciated all the great moments of Spike putting himself physically in harm's way time and time again, all in the good name of getting those guys over. Your first Mae Young reference came where they explained the story about putting Mae Young through the table. Mae Young looking for Bully Ray backstage, grabbing him by the arm and saying, "Hey, next time you do something like that to me, you freaking do it really hard. You treat me like one of the boys. I can take it." As far as Bully Ray was concerned, that was one tough woman, and he really appreciated all that she had contributed and helping them get over in the WWE. So really had enjoyed that moment right there. They also took the time out to thank Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer was in attendance. Funny little story that they had told about meeting Vince and Linda McMahon for the very first time. Met them at the LaGuardia airport. And funny, it was funny. They took up only about 25 minutes. I mean, they set the tone. It was about 25, almost 30 minutes. They set it up. From there, we had got our other, and Devon. Let me, we were talking about Bully Ray's early memory. As far as Devon's earliest memories, he talked about how much he loved the Hulkster, wanted to look like him, be like him, and everything. So I mean, that was really one of his first major influences that really got him involved in the business. Just to kind of share with you guys a little bit of his backstory. He also talked about how his childhood was growing up. I was a little bit rough and everything. And one theme that I kept hearing from a lot of these guys was pretty much how when they were younger, wrestling was kind of like their salvation. It kind of kept them in line, kind of kept them out of trouble for the most part. But moving along, we had the setup for Hillbilly Jim. We had Jimmy Mouth of the South, Hart, Jimmy Hart. Love Jimmy Hart. I gotta say, the New Orleans crowd for this WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, they hijacked the hell out of this ceremony a lot of times. The energy just was not there when it counted the most. And one thing that was very revealing to me during this WWE Hall of Fame ceremony was the fact that a lot of these guys, some of these men, some of these women have continued to be involved in the wrestling business long after they did their thing in the WWE. They continue to have some type of a wrestling career. They continue to travel all around the world, sign autographs, things of that nature, right? And when you see these people coming in, giving their speeches, they just freaking were not reacting whatsoever. And a perfect example, this is early on. This is only after 25 minutes. You got Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart coming out there trying to set up Hillbilly Jim. And Jimmy Hart gets no reaction whatsoever. And I was just baffled by that. I was baffled by that on so many levels. I was baffled by that the most, not to go on a rant, but I was baffled by that the most because I'm going, my God, he is like the Quincy Jones of managers when you could trace so many people back to Jimmy Hart. The ultimate one being the Hulkster, but you can trace so many people back to Jimmy Hart. It's not even funny. And for Jimmy Hart to come out there and not get any type of reaction whatsoever. I mean, it was barely a reaction. You heard silence. Don't believe me? Well, I would imagine by the time it comes about on the USA Network and on DVD, they're probably going to pipe in some audio or whatever. But to watch the raw live original feed, no reactions whatsoever. It was a testament to me on how we have these up and coming wrestling fans that aren't like you and I, in our 30s and up. Hell, even mid 20s and up. I can even go that far because I know plenty of people in their 20s that have an appreciation for, wrestling of yesteryear, somewhat grew up on it and everything. But, I could tell that these up and coming wrestling fans, they are so not connected to wrestling of yesteryear to the point of, oh my God, hey, yay, all right, Jimmy Hart, all right, awesome, and Jimmy Hart is a WWE Hall of Famer himself. I mean, so marinate on that for a few ticks. That was really nerve-wracking. Here's a Hall of Famer trying to introduce the newest WWE Hall of Famer, and he's getting no pop from the crowd whatsoever. Jimmy Hart, not getting any pop from the crowd whatsoever. He gives the whole bio, everything that you saw of the Hillbilly Jim video package. That's pretty much what Jimmy Hart is doing. Nice little recap. Look, I appreciated when Hillbilly Jim came on out there and he gave his speech. But by the way, yeah, I gotta make it a little bit funny. I gotta make it interesting. Did anybody else think that when Hillbilly Jim came on out, did he not look like a combination of Diamond Dallas Page and Braun Strowman? I mean, my God, if you can just put those three images side by side to each other, I mean, that joint just looked eerie. It looked as though if Diamond Dallas Page and Braun Strowman had a Brokeback Mountain type of moment, right? Did I say that right? Hillbilly Jim and Diamond Dallas Page, if yeah, them two, if they had a Brokeback Mountain moment and they could produce an offspring, it would be Braun Strowman. That's just really how it came off. But getting back to the seriousness here, when Hillbilly Jim came on now, you know, man, I had so many mixed emotions watching Hillbilly Jim's speech. Really taking it in. He pretty much had talked about opportunity. And that resonated with me so very well on so many levels because those that have been checking out my show faithfully, religiously, since 2011 knows, how much I strive for wanting to always excel, not just with the show, but in general in life. Yeah, as far as excelling, as far as taking advantage of opportunities, seizing the moments, and Hillbilly Jim's speech really resonated to me on so many levels. Basically, in a nutshell, opportunity when it comes knocking at your door, whether you're ready or not, this is pretty much what you've been training for. This is what you've been preparing yourself for. You got to get up on it and you got to hit that home run because if you mess up, you don't seize that opportunity could just go down the street and you may never get that opportunity again. And I just loved hearing him go down memory lane. A lot of what he said really resonated with me. His speech was probably of all the speeches the most long-winded. I honestly would have to say it went on and on and on. I put out a tweet and it's picked up a lot of traffic because I felt I literally just called it how I felt. I said, my God, Hillbilly Jim's speech 40 minutes later, and I put up a Stone Cold Steve Austin gif, and he's looking at his wrist like, what? What time is it, son? What? Just looking at it. And, everybody just kept retweeting that, laughing and everything. And no diss to Hillbilly Jim, but that's exactly the point that I'm talking about from earlier, which is, these speeches that just seem to keep going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. You got to trim that, man. You've got these people that's waiting to go to the after party, that's waiting to maybe grab a little bit of a bite to eat or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was a really good speech. Don't get me wrong. It was a really, really good speech. I loved hearing him talk about how one door basically opened to another. He basically walked you through the journey of what ultimately led him to the WWE. And hindsight is 2020. And one could make the argument that maybe Hillbilly Jim went as long as he did because he didn't have any papers in front of him. Maybe he went as long as he did because he maybe knows deep down inside that that's probably gonna be his one and only time that for one night only the spotlight is on him. He's being given his props. He is being given the gratitude of, hey, thanks for the years of service. Thanks for creating these great moments. Thanks for being part of these great moments. Maybe there's a part of him that knows deep down inside that this may be the one and only time, other than when we see him WrestleMania night and they pretty much have all the Hall of Fame guys come on out and take one more bow on the grandest stage of them all. Maybe he knows that this is it. This is it for me. I'm not going to be part of no throwback episode of Monday Night Raw. I'm not going to be part of an episode of SmackDown where I'm providing guest color commentating. I'm not going to be involved in some type of on-screen TV role. So you could kind of make the argument that, maybe Hillbilly Jim kind of knew this, and this may have been his one and only time to really connect with the fans that have kept him in their thoughts, kept him in their memories over all these years. And when they hear he's doing an autograph signing or whatever, and they jump up on it and they meet him. So you could kind of look at it that way as far as him being so long-winded. But if you ask me if it was long-winded, yeah, without a doubt, it was definitely very, very long-winded. I thought it was really classy, though, how he talked about accepting the induction on behalf of his late mother, on his family, on behalf of Kentucky. Yeah, I clocked his speech at almost 50 minutes. I'll have to rely on you guys for any corrections on that one. All right, so we had Molly set up Ivory next. We saw our first glimpse of Ivory's video package. They talked about the WrestleMania where everything led up to that WrestleMania where she was with the rights to censor and she was feuding with China for the women's title. It was nice to see China get a nice little bit of a nod. We saw her name drop twice. I enjoyed that tremendously. Molly Holly comes out. Keep in mind, Molly Holly recently involved in the first ever women's Royal Rumble, right? We saw Molly Holly has been popping up at these Hall of Fame ceremonies. What, guys? If not 4 years, for sure the past 3 years now, she's been involved, if not longer than that. Molly Holly comes out. Molly Holly gets no reaction whatsoever. Now, see, you could make the argument, well, yeah, to be fair, Lee, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, kind of oldie there. Okay. Yeah, Lee, with regards to what's his name? Hillbilly Jim. Sounds like Slim Jim. Yeah, that's, it's a bit too old for me. Okay. So here you have somebody much younger, and Molly Holly. Molly Holly, at some point, she's going to be a future WWE Hall of Famer. I think she's going to be able to go in. If she's not able to go in, just on her body of work alone that she contributed to the WWE, maybe she might go in the legacy wing or whatever. I could see her maybe go. She's definitely going to go in one or the other, though, right? Well, here she is. No reaction from the New Orleans crowd once again. And you can't help but what the hell? Here's a woman that you guys just saw at the Royal Rumble. First ever women's Royal Rumble match. What the hell? Is the attention span that? Oh, I get it. If it's not about today's product, you're a deer in the headlights. That's what it is. Seeing and hearing this crowd, it just reminded me so much about the last job that I had worked at, which was at a security company. And, all the guys that had worked there, I think the youngest was maybe 23. No, I'm sorry, the oldest. I actually was the oldest, believe it or not. Second oldest was like 24, maybe 25. Youngest was 17. And I tell you guys, every time I would talk to these guys about wrestling, they could tell you any and everything that was happening on Raw and on SmackDown. But when you started saying Paul Bear, Brother Love, the Grand Wizard, Iron Sheik, Bob Backlund, they looked at you like, huh? Man, you could even say Macho Man Randy Savage, and they're like, who's that? Yes, you get who's that. So seeing this crowd, I'm just comparing my experience to when I talk to some people and just matching all that up and seeing what we're seeing in the crowd tonight, even with Molly Holly, no reaction to Molly Holly. Awkward, just totally freaking awkward. Ivory comes on now. Ivory did her best. I thought her speech was a unique speech. I like the way she had approached it, basically talking about how, my God, and that's a travesty in itself that a beautiful woman like Ivory has had the unfortunate displeasure, right? The unfortunate displeasure of not tying the knot with somebody. That's a travesty, and a beautiful looking woman like that, 56 years of age, doesn't even look like she's 56. Homegirl looks like she's in her late 40s. And the fact that she has yet to tie the knot, man, let me let me get on the plane. I'll show her some love. Goddamn, I don't care how old she is. I love you over here, Ivory. I'll marry you any day of the week. But my God, man, I liked her speech. She basically took the fact that she's pretty much been single, and that with her going into the WWE Hall of Fame, she's looking at it as her and WWE tying the knot, like for better or worse or whatever. And I loved her speech. It was quirky at times, definitely quirky, cheesy. I would admit that, but her speech. Well, that's colorful. That's that's a nice approach to handling your induction speech. Oh, okay, that's great. Loved everything that she had to say. Of course, bringing up the whole Glow. I'm not talking about what's currently on Netflix. I know they're getting ready to come back for another season. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the original Glow promotion that she was involved in. She had a really nice moment. Her speech was quirky, definitely at best quirky, cheesy. I would definitely admit that. She did pretty well though. She did pretty well for herself. And son of a bitch, I had pitched to her because she was asking for ideas early on when she had first joined Twitter, and she was asking for ideas. And me and her were actually going back and forth for a hot minute. And I told her, I said, look, what would be a really cool idea is if maybe at some point during your speech, you're talking about maybe doing something that's a little bit risque because of the era you were in with the WWE. And maybe you could have Stevie Richards, and maybe you could have the Good Father come on now in the Rights to Censor outfit. And, maybe they can, a little bit of a homage. And she said, my God, that sounds like a really good idea. I'm actually going to write that down. So I almost crapped my pants when the Rights to Censor joint, the sound and the logo had popped up. Oh my God, are we gonna? We didn't get it, but I thought that was kind of a nice homage to what had made her really, really popular several years back. Also, of all the people to induct Kid Rock into the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame, it was Triple H. And honestly, had no problem with Triple H being the one to do the deed, because to have Triple H be the one to do it, for me, it just basically, hey, Kid Rock going in, this is a serious deal, and this is a serious deal because of these standpoints. Although I have to question one thing. There was a part that actually said Kid Rock conquered the world of rap. Let me tell you something. I remember very well when Kid Rock had first came out. I was in high school. Okay, I'm showing my age here. I was in high school when Kid Rock first came out, and everybody and they mama was pushing bomb with the bomb, the bang it bang bang it with the okay. Everybody had that fucking album. Everybody was just losing their marbles over that. Let me tell you something though. Nobody, do not, I'm telling you, do not let yourselves get programmed by WWE when they say that Kid Rock had conquered the world of rap, or Kid Rock says he conquered the world of rap. Let me tell you something. When Kid Rock first came to the scene, was he carving out his own little niche? Yes, he was. But as far as conquering rap, those of us that remember how music was way back then, there was a slew of other artists that we would go, oh, no, 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 no. When it comes to rap, no, 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 no. And at the very top back then, when we were in high school, at the very top was Eminem. And a lot of us had recognized. You ask anybody when that album had dropped, you ask anybody, they will honestly tell you, especially if they are a big fan of music and they know about all things rap, they will tell you Yeah, Kid Rock was all right and everything. I mean, it was a nice little alternative, you know, if you wanted to feel, you know, but the real rap was over here. These were the guys that were doing their thing. I mean, Eminem, Nas, Jay-Z come to mind. Lil Kim, Foxy Brown was still dropping good hot shit. Mystical, DMX. I don't need to go any further. Those names right there. When you think rap, those were the guys that a lot of people were thinking about back then. So Kid Rock, though, he had the shortest speech of the night. Him and JJ, Lil Manjarius, those two guys for sure had the shortest speeches of the night. And you know, I like the fact that, you know, Kid Rock, he kept it short and sweet, and I like the fact that he was legitimately humbled by this nod of going into the Hall of Fame celebrity wing. You know, if I could just offer one thing, I think it really would have been nice. One thing that was overlooked, and I wish somebody would have said it. And I was really expecting for Kid Rock to say it, but I really wish at some point there would have been a nod to Arnold Schwarzenegger and him having a speedy recovery, since he had once again had open heart surgery to replace a valve that he got installed in 1997. I mean, even if you know he's doing okay, he is in the WWE Hall of Fame celebrity wing. And after all, you get a video package of Schwarzenegger shown in there, basically hyping up all the people that went into the celebrity wing over the years. Even if you could have just did a situation where you could have just fed that to Kid Rock, I think that would have made him look really, really classy. One thing that definitely had hurt Kid Rock, you know, this, you know, Kid Rock, this isn't the time or the place. And that's the fact that he made the reference about doing the body slam to Democrats. And then when he gets heckled and booed, he tries to then backpedal and say, oh, you know, oh, come on, guys. Oh, you know, we need to try to find common ground. No, no, hold up a second. Hold up a second. No, own that. Own that shit. Okay, don't backpedal. Okay, if you're going to show your true colors and you're going to single out a certain political party, then own it. Don't backpedal, right? So, you know, for me, I cringed at that. I'm going, okay, number one, this isn't the time or the place for that type of talk. This is about your contributions to the WWE, the long lasting established relationship that you've had with the WWE. Nothing more, nothing less. So if you are going to put something out there like that, you can at least own it and don't backpedal. And I, you know, it just made him come off like a damn goofball, quite honestly. See who we had up next. Who we got left here? Jeff Jarrett. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett. They set up Jeff Jarrett as far as I was concerned. They set up Jeff Jarrett. I'll explain why they set up Jeff Jarrett in a hot second. If you guys are enjoying the after show so far, do me a huge favor and make sure you comment, you like, share. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Let me just see how we're doing on time so far, because I said I wanted to try to be out of here in 30 minutes, and something tells me we're not going to be able to accomplish that. But I tell you what, if we can, damn, it's already 47 minutes, man. That fucking sucks, man. Okay, well, I tell you what, if we could be done in under an hour, that's an accomplishment in itself, right? All right, let's go ahead. Let's wrap on here, okay? Let me blaze through these last few setups here. All right, so Jeff Jarrett. As far as I'm concerned, Jeff Jarrett, and longtime RCWR show listeners know I've had Jeff Jarrett. I've had the honor of talking with him. He's been on my show twice now. Once right when Global Force Wrestling was doing the whole Wrestle Kingdom event, and Jeff Jarrett was pretty much behind that one. And then the second time, we talked to him at least a month and a half before his WWE Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I couldn't wait to hear this speech. Not what I was expecting. I really was expecting for Jeff Jarrett to bring up his time in TNA. I was looking for him to bring up the fact that there were so many people whose lives he was able to touch that would eventually go on to bigger and better things. I was looking for Jeff Jarrett, the promoter, for his body of work. The stars that, honestly, if it wasn't for Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett providing the platform for talents like a Samoa Joe, for a AJ Styles, for a Bobby Roode, for Eric Young. I was looking for that at some point during Jarrett's speech to come out, and that didn't fly. And what did I say to you guys? I said to you guys a long time ago. I said, okay, is Jeff Jarrett WWE Hall of Fame worthy? And I told you guys, I said, it may sound weird, but I'm looking at it from two different standpoints. If you come to me and say, Lee, not only are WWE going to recognize the contributions that Jeff Jarrett made while he was in the WWE and WCW, but they're also going to recognize the work that he did with his dad and the promotion that they had once started up, and then them trying it again with TNA, and then just go off of the platter of talent that they had the privilege of working with that eventually WWE would acquire. I would say, okay, well, if you're going to present to me that Jeff Jarrett, then that Jeff Jarrett should definitely go into the Hall of Fame. But if you basically are going to come at me and say, no, Lee, it's just going to be the JARRETT Jeff Jarrett with My Baby Tonight that's going to go into the Hall of Fame, and just a tiny little bit of a WCW reference. And yeah, he was a world heavyweight champ. Yeah, there was a part of me that kind of liked his run in WCW and all that. But I would say to you that that's not enough. Maybe he instead needs to go into the legacy wing, is what I would say to you. Am I happy that he was able to make peace with the powers that be in the WWE, and that when it's basically all said and done, this was kind of like an olive branch? Yeah, I'm very happy. I hope that not only that with this Hall of Fame, everything's cool, water under the bridge, but I also hope that this creates a opportunity for Jeff Jarrett to maybe work behind the scenes, maybe in NXT or helping out with SmackDown, who knows, or 205, who knows. But his speech, just the way that he was presented, it just kind of really, to me, felt like a joke, especially having him sing that god awful song, and nobody knew the lyrics. All the people that they kept going up to, and it was like pulling teeth, brand new, just teeth. Nothing wrong with the teeth. Just pulling up to somebody's mouth, grabbing a pair of fucking pliers, and just trying to yank the teeth out. Yeah, people just, it was awkward. That was probably one of the most awkwardest moments of the entire Hall of Fame ceremony. I honestly would have to say, Jeff Jarrett, I love the fact that he put over Shawn Michaels. I also love the fact that he had put over Road Dogg, Jesse James, talking about how the two of them went through some, very, very dark times together, and how Road Dogg's always been there for him, and he's appreciated that. He also gave a nod to Karen Jarrett. So, I mean, all that was definitely nice. For me, surprise of the night goes to little JJ, Jarius, who was the recipient of this year's Warrior Award. I tell you, if I could have a son right now, and I know one day I'm going to make a really great dad, but I tell you what, I would love to be that boy's father. I mean, that little boy was just so vibrant, so full of energy, so charismatic, so funny. It was just an infectious type of personality that young man had. Loved it. I even loved that line that had the whole crowd roaring, where he goes, heck, at this rate, I'm probably going to have a match at WrestleMania. I'll have a better shot of an opportunity to get on the card than John Cena. And the crowd just, I love that. I love that. I ate that up. That was just hilarious. JJ surprised me the most, and his speech was extremely short and to the point. Loved it. Big Show did a great job setting up Mark Henry, revealing how long of a relationship that they've had as friends. For me, tearjerker moment of the night, Mark Henry. I connected with his speech on so many levels. Just and I don't want it to be about race, but when you really stop and you look at the basic demographics, you look at how sadly a lot of black families are brought up in low income urban housing areas, type of neighborhoods. To hear Mark Henry's story resonated with me because it reminded me of my childhood, and I couldn't help but get emotional as he was getting emotional, just taking everything that you know everything in his life that basically led him to where he was tonight on that podium talking to the fans. And I loved hearing how his mom had bought him his first set of weights to try and basically keep him out of trouble. And pretty much he would have that set up in front of his house. And all his friends, they would come around and they pretty much would be doing their things with the weights. And she'd come around feeding them really, really good. Speaking of feeding, Henry did really good. He looked really good tonight. Lost a decent amount of weight, I must say. Looks really good. I hope he keeps it going. I really hope he keeps it going. I'm assuming that now he's not on the road as much as he used to be. Now he's kind of able to find that time to get in some proper diet and nutrition. So really happy for the guy. But a lot of what he said just really connected with me on so many levels. And I tell you what really, really, aside from him going down the origins of what pretty much got him involved in weightlifting and eventually going into the WWE, it was really nice hearing him say, look, at the end of the day, I don't care. I'm a mark. And I've always been a mark for wrestling. I'm a mark right now. I'm always going to be a mark. It was nice hearing him say that because, that's a term that, most folks in the wrestling business, it's degrading, basically. Mark and smart, whatever the terminology is, it's taboo, it's raunchy, right? Nobody really likes being called that, sadly. I love you guys. I don't even try to label you guys like that. But for me, aside from all that, the real moment came when Mark Henry talks about how he still misses Owen Hart. Jeff Jarrett, another one that talked about, hey, I miss Owen. And I like some of the stories that he had shared with regards to Owen. Mark Henry talking about how he missed Owen. And I love how he took a moment while he was crying. I mean, to see a guy in his mid to late 40s, camera zooms in as he says, hey, bring the camera in for a moment, please. And he's saying, look, the company isn't telling me to say this. I'm not being paid to say this. This is coming straight up from me, basically. And sends a message to Martha Hart, calls her out, says, Martha, he should be here. I mean, let that resonate for a second. Martha, he should be here. And of course, he's talking about Owen Hart. Owen Hart needing to take his rightful place in the WWE Hall of Fame. And, I've been an advocate for it for some years now, which is Martha Hart, let bygones be bygones. Everybody has tried to do their best. You lost a husband. We get that. You lost a husband. You lost a best friend. The kids lost a father. I get that. But how do you think Brett feels? How do you think the entire, the true bloodline of the Hart family, right? How do you think they feel about the fact that Owen still has not gone into the WWE Hall of Fame? And I get WWE. I get them, because one could make the argument, well, why not just put them in posthumously? Just do it and problem solved. I guess as far as WWE is concerned, hey, if we're not gonna have the blessings, then why even go that route, right? Why even go that route? Especially if it could end in a situation where we could get tied up in some type of litigation with Martha Hart. That's kind of like the last thing we want. And even if we can do it, just the fact that she's not signing off on it, maybe that's something we just kind of need to stay away from altogether, right? So I respect the fact that WWE has tried to, but just see Mark Henry emotionally go there, man. If you couldn't help but feel that moment, you're not human as far as I'm concerned. You're an insensitive freaking prick as far as I'm concerned. But that was just such a emotional moment right there. Raw, just uncanny, and just wow. And now the ball is in Martha's court. And I'm sure after this, there's going to be a lot more people talking about this and saying, yeah, why isn't Owen in the WWE Hall of Fame? And it kind of goes back to what I had said several years back on the show, because somebody had asked me a long time ago. They had said, Lee, what do you think is most likely going to happen as far as Owen Hart going into the WWE Hall of Fame? Do you think eventually he will go in? And I had said to you guys way back then, I said either three things is going to happen. Either WWE is just going to go on ahead and they're going to put him in themselves. They're going to do it posthumously, whether she approves of it or not. They're just going to do it and deal with the consequences later, if any comes at all. Second, they are able to finally make peace with Martha, and it pretty much goes from there, and Owen gets in that way. Or Martha Hart passes, and Owen's children are the ones that basically go, okay, yeah, let's do it. This is a long time coming. We want our dad to go in. Now, I lost track of how old the kids are now, but assuming that the kids may be 18 or 19 by now, they could very well, they can say, hey, we want him to go in. Whether or not she signs off on that, though, I mean, that's on her, right? That's all on her. It's a sticky situation when it's all said and done. It's a very difficult, it's a very sticky situation. It totally freaking sucks. Big time. It totally freaking sucks. But I really hope that after what Mark Henry had said tonight, I really hope that it gets a lot more people talking. And I really hope that the Stone Colds, the Jim Rosses, the Jerichos, the Cornettes, I hope all of them collectively, they can all come together. And I would like to, if you ask me what the end result could be, I would love it if a situation could occur where maybe Martha Hart speaks with Paul Levesque. I think if anybody has a chance of smoothing things out, given his track record, Paul Levesque, Triple H, I think he would be the one that just may be that guy that can finally, I mean, what a big testament that would be too, as far as his, I mean, my God, he hasn't even gotten the whole damn kingdom yet. But to be able to add that on top of everything else that he's been able to do these past several years since he's come into more and more power, that would be a testament to him. Big, that would be pretty damn good on the resume, to be able to, hey, not Vince, not Steph, not Shane, not it was me. I was the one that was able to smooth everything out and finally be able to work with Martha and get Owen in the Hall of Fame. It was all on me. So we'll wait and see on that one. And last, Goldberg. Goldberg had a good speech. I liked his speech. I really did. Everything that you see and hear, you could tell that there were still some things with Goldberg that was rather raw, that was still a bit too sensitive for him to talk about, at least in depth. I like how he just bypassed that first run in the WWE. Not everything was bad with that first run in the WWE. I enjoyed his feud with The Rock. I actually enjoyed his feud with Triple H and it culminating for the world title. I enjoyed everything. But hey, we could be honest with each other. Pretty much after that feud with Triple H and Evolution, that's when things kind of went down south. I would definitely admit that to you guys. But there was definitely some bright spots with regards to his career, his first run, that is, in the WWE. Another thing is everything that, my biggest takeaway from Goldberg, I like the fact that he recognized how he left the business so bitter, but that in due time, and really because of his wife and his son, it really made him take a second look at that career he had in pro wrestling and realize that, hey, at some point, my kid's going to be going online and he's going to be finding out certain things about me. And he's going to be like, Dad, what happened to this? Why'd you stop? And the son's going to read the reports. He's probably going to hear some stuff on podcasts and all that other stuff. So, what better way to kind of like knock out two birds with one stone? One being is you embrace your past, and who would have thought of all the things a video game would pretty much get things going as far as creating some type of dialogue with the WWE again. And you fast forward to now, it's a great story in itself. And I like the fact of how things have come around full circle for Goldberg. It just sucks that sadly it took this long for Goldberg to, I guess you could say, go on that journey and finding himself, basically rediscovering himself. Time has actually been very kind to him because now you have a much more humbled Goldberg. I would have to say, though, his speech, for what it was worth, and I know there's people complaining that his speech had went a little bit too long. I don't think Goldberg's speech was. It didn't go that long at all. I had no problem with the length. I think what it is the fact that you have this speech, the last speech, the main headliner. Let's be honest, it really did not feel like a headliner. Let's be totally honest. And again, the New Orleans crowd sucked big time. Other than the Goldberg chants, I mean, just the total disrespect that they were showing all throughout this Hall of Fame ceremony with their heckling. And, even when Paul Heyman tried to do the proper setup, he's being heckled a little bit. It just really makes me say to the WWE, why even continue to do these events and make tickets be available to the masses? Why? Why not just let it be about immediate friends, family of the business, associates, member of the press, and everybody else? You can just, catch it on DVD, quite honestly, because if they're going to be that disrespectful to all the men and women that are being inducted, and we've seen this, it's a yearly tradition. Point being, you had JJ talk about some of his favorite superstars. He even said, hey, I like Roman Reigns, and the fans booed him. And it's like, you fucking pricks. Stop and think for a moment. This little kid went through so much crap, and he's a fighter. Without a doubt, his spirit is strong. Yeah, if anybody's deserving of the Warrior Spirit Award, Lil JJ, it's that man. That young, yes, he embodies that. Okay, so he likes what he likes, and you boo the kid, right? I don't want to hear somebody go, no, they weren't booing him. They were booing who you're still showing disrespect. That's almost as bad as telling a kid, Santa Claus don't exist and they're like 5 years old or whatever. So you don't want to tell the kid, not at that point, right? Not at that age. You don't want to tell them that. So it's just little stuff like that. It really added up tonight. And for me, another thing that I would say to the WWE going forward, I think you guys need to go on ahead and just let it be a closed circuit event for your Hall of Fame. A closed circuit event in the form of you only extend attendance to the Hall of Fame inductees, the inductors. You extend it to the talent, everybody that's going to be involved, WrestleMania weekend access and all that. Maybe you could extend it to medias of the press. You can kind of make up a little bit for not having the fans be there by maybe also extending media passes to a select handful rather of podcasts. I think those are the ways that, going forward, you can really do this. Honestly, I would be even more cooler with them doing it in a more intimate type of setting. Here's a perfect situation where it'd be really great if WWE had rented out a space for the night of the Hall of Fame. And honestly, you could have it be a situation where if I could make a recommendation to the WWE, I have the perfect setup. Do it like DC Improv. Anybody that knows a thing or two, in the DMV, they know about DC Improv. DC Improv, you go in, right? And you usually get like some warm-up acts. It's basically comedy, good food, drinking. All right. So you could have some, warm-ups go up there, get the crowd nice and ready, right? Everybody's dressed really nice. They're at these nice, good long tables or whatever. You could basically do it like that. Have it be in a nice type of setting. I mean, hell, you could even do it at the arena, but if you can, try to see if you can do a little bit of rearranging, put some, tables or whatever in there. But I think I like the idea of basically doing it kind of like a DC Improv. You just rent out the whole joint for the entire night. You pack in all your people. You bring up the guests on there or whatever, and that's pretty much how you do it. No. Save me, Foley. Don't be lost. I'm talking about how WWE can do future Hall of Fames as far as the venue goes. Okay, that's why I'm describing the DC Improv. DC Improv over here in the nation's capital, it is a comedy improv show. And basically, when you go to the comedy show, there's these nice, cool tables that you can sit at. You have to dress casually. If you try to go in there looking like a bum, you get turned away. So they have these nice tables. They have a dress code. You get a nice, good looking menu. You have your selection of drinks, beer, IPA, wine, things of that nature, right? Okay, so you can have all that set up, right? You can have your inductees setting it all up, inductees. You can have all that set up. Same, everything that you saw tonight. You can have it set up, but you can have it be at a more intimate type of setting that is only available to a select few, as opposed to doing it to the masses. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to have this problem. And I agree with what Austin is saying. Austin's saying, yeah, I was pissed that they booed JJ just because he likes Reigns. Exactly. You just don't do stuff like that, man. But I think if the WWE tries to work on those areas of improvement, it would definitely go a long, long way. One more time, we're taking a look at the polls here before we wrap it up for tonight. And I got to tell you, I'd like to go longer, but because the original plan for this show, I actually was going to preview NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania 34, but with the Hall of Fame ceremony being as long as it was, that put a monkey wrench on things. So as far as me previewing NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania, what I'll do for you guys, I'll come on here this Saturday evening or maybe late afternoon. I will come on here, let's say 4:15. I'll come on 4:15 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast, and we'll finally go on ahead and preview NXT TakeOver and WrestleMania. And right before we roll out, though, let's show you guys one more time the polling results that we have so far. So if you want to cast your vote, if you're watching this via YouTube, head on over to the RCWR Show page, and you can click on the communities tab. We got the polling that's up right now. Taking one more peek in there. We're asking you, how would you rate the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony? Right now, we have 17% of you that only watched it for Goldberg, Dudley Boys, and Mark Henry. 25% of you gave it a thumbs down. You felt that some speeches went way too long, 4+ hours, way too long. And 58% of you, again, this is via YouTube, 58% of you gave it a thumbs up. You loved it from beginning to end. Meanwhile, when you see what's going on with Twitter, we're now up to 134 votes. We have 14% of you that are staying in the middle. 22% of you are giving it a thumbs down. You felt that it went way too long. 28% of you are giving it a thumbs up, and 36% of you only watched for Goldberg, Mark Henry, and the Dudleys. So again, you'll get the NXT TakeOver preview along with the WrestleMania preview and picks. We'll give that to you this Saturday afternoon, April 7th at 4:15 in the afternoon. In case you guys missed all the programming notes, yes, there will be a NXT after show that will come on as soon as NXT TakeOver goes off the air. And there's also going to be a WrestleMania after show as soon as WrestleMania concludes. So you can find everything. If you're on YouTube, go over to the communities tab. You can find all the information there. And I also shared the information on the Facebook page. You guys can continue to comment and let me know what you had thought about the Hall of Fame ceremony. Keep it going. Your comments are being acknowledged now, because when people come, especially on YouTube, and they watch the stream on demand, they'll be able to see your chats now. So you guys that are coming in after the fact, I want to know what y'all had thought about the Hall of Fame ceremony. So do comment, and what we'll do is we'll dedicate a portion of the show for next week going off of you all's reactions. We'll share that on the feedback portion of the show, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and shut this bad boy down because it's getting a little bit way too late. Appreciate those of you that took time out to check this out, as after all, it was a long freaking night. I am wishing you guys be safe, be kind to one another. We'll do this for you guys in just a little bit. Y'all take care,